Hey everyone, Al Crossley here. And if you're a fairly old fellow like me, you probably have thousands of 35mm slides and negatives, at least some of which you'd like to digitize and share, or perhaps enhance with today's software and print out. Lately, more and more folks are turning to their DSLRs for the job. It's a machine they already know, they have total control, and they don't need to learn scanning software. Today I'll be showing you what I've rigged up for myself. There's nothing groundbreaking here, but maybe it'll help you figure out what works best for you. Fair warning, I'm using some equipment that's Nikon specific, but don't let that stop you. By the way, this is not a digitizing tutorial per se. However, in the comments below, I'm putting a link to a very comprehensive digitizing video that uses similar equipment. So, what is that equipment? First, a high-resolution DSLR, say 24 megapixels or higher, especially if your main interest is archiving. My camera is a D850, a 45 megapixel full-frame camera with a 60mm macro lens, which fills the sensor with a 1:1 image of the film at pixel dimensions of 8256 by 5504. You just need to decide for yourself, based on your plans for the digital files, what your minimum resolution should be. And now, the key to my rig. You need a way to hold the film steady and flat in front of the camera, for which I use Nikon's ES2 digitizing adapter set, made specifically to attach to their 60mm macro lens. It has a built-in diffuser and includes holders for slides and negatives. Now, if you're not a Nikon shooter, you may be able to find adaptations on the web. I also saw similar devices for sale made by Kaiser and Camflix, though I can't vouch for them. Lastly, you'll need a light source. Lots of choices here. You can, for example, use a bulb, an LED panel, an iPad or smartphone set to a white background, or even window light, although that's not very consistent. I'm using a LumeCube 2.0 with variable light output. It has a hot shoe adapter that I simply slip into a speedlight stand attached to the rig with a 1/4-20 bolt coming up through the wood. So what we really have here is a kind of horizontal copy stand. Copy stands hold the camera vertically, but I didn't have one, and this seemed easier to build. However, lots of folks use copy stands quite successfully. You can also use small tripods and such for the various elements here, but the idea was to create a rig to hold everything in place and in a fixed relationship, so that I could move it as a whole if my wife wanted to use the dining room table for, say, actual dining. I cobbled the whole thing together with scrap wood from the garage, an L bracket I bought decades ago and never used, and that small speedlight stand I already had. The small plywood gusset simply counteracts the torque the camera weight would otherwise put on this vertical piece. And I attached the L bracket with 2 bolts to avoid having it twist forward with the camera and lens mounted. I'm not bothering to show you dimensions because there really are no critical distances here. I did, however, set things up so I could change the camera battery without unmounting the camera from the L bracket, and I made sure the center axes of the LumeCube lined up with the lens. So again, this isn't a digitizing tutorial, but we'll give it a quick spin so you can get the flavor. With the LumeCube on and the negative lined up, we'll zoom in using live view to get good focus, using f8 to ensure sharpness. Note the negative is backwards. That's so you're photographing the emulsion side and not shooting through the film base. The difference may be negligible, but it is recommended. We'll use a remote release to minimize camera shake. And that's it. You now have a RAW file to bring into Lightroom. Invert it, flip it, and make any desired adjustments to get your final positive. And it looks pretty good.
Al, don't forget, we need that dining table tonight.
Oh, right. Well, gotta go. Hope there was an idea or two here, and happy digitizing.